Yo, 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 what's good? What's good? How y'all doing? How y'all doing on this Sunday? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? We got a crazy story here today before the weekend closes out. Stephen A. Smith beefing with another NBA player again. Who would have thunk it? So make sure y'all check in. Let us know where you're coming in from. We're going to get into this live in a few minutes. Let me do my normal shout outs as y'all are coming into the live here. Somebody said, here we go. A 30-minute segment with Stephen A. Smith going off about KD, about his resume. Yes. Yo, y'all ever notice that that Stephen A. Smith be like he be getting real tight when people diss him, but the minute they diss him, he immediately gets amped up to go on his podcast. He sometimes he preps it on ESPN First Take, so it's crazy. Shout out to Detroit, Robert L. Jones. I see who else? Euphoria. Shout out to Jersey, Buffalo. Shout out to Buffalo. What else we got up in here? Winston Salem. I see you. St. Louis in the building. I see you. Long Island. JJ Game Player. Shout out to you. Who's that? Leroy Jr. in the UK. Shout out to you. Live it up. I see you out there in Kansas. Shout out to the Boogie Down Bronx. I see you out there. Shout out to Jamaica. Let's keep it rolling. We're gonna get it going in the next minute or so. I see we got Morocco in the house, San Diego, Trinidad, South Central. Who else we got up in here? We got Ohio, Montreal. I see you. Who else? Somebody said all up in Chicago. Okay. Okay. I see we got Greece, Boston. Was good. Shout out to my New York people. Who else we got? Miami, Philadelphia. Who else we got? Denmark, the Philippines. I see you. Indiana, Toronto. Somebody laughing. Pittsburgh. Where else we got? Staying away from the honey in Ohio. I see you. Charles LeBron Bands. I'm not even gonna start with you guys tonight. Dallas, Switzerland, New York, Chicago. Okay, let's give it 30 more seconds. We're gonna get into this story here. We already getting the beef kicked off this week. First it was Drake and DeMar DeRozan. Now Stephen A. Smith and KD. Somebody said I hate LeBron. By the way, BX in the building. The Slum Salad Bar. Okay, so let's get into the story here. Let's get the likes up. Shout out to Philly in the building here. He swear he's someone not to mess with, knowing he's soft as hell without that security backing him. Stephen A. Smith ain't gonna bust a grape on nobody. Well, first of all, appreciate the super chat, but you got to give it up to Stephen A. Smith. He be talking that talk. Stephen A. Smith be talking like the Suge Knight of sports. He be talking that talk. Even when he was like he gonna go on Gil's Arena. He like, yeah, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. Kenya Martin, you see it. You see me. Rashard McCants, I'm in the building. I ain't hiding from. We're like, okay, all right, do your thing, Stephen A. Smith. I see you. Anyway, so shout out to y'all in the chat there. Shout out, appreciate the super chat. Let's get into this story here. Y'all know Stephen A. Smith and Kevin Durant been beefing for the longest time. I think this was when Max Kellerman was on ESPN First Take, when KD came out and disputed one of Stephen A. Smith's stories. I think this was when he was on the Warriors, and Stephen A. Smith basically threatened KD on TV. He was like, you don't want to make an enemy out of me. I'm not the person to make an enemy out of, and all of that stuff. That's what Stephen A. Smith says. So I just turned on my computer like maybe 20 minutes ago, and I seen Too Raw for Sports, Too Raw for TV, Too Raw for Sports. And he does a show, and he goes, Stephen A. Smith or Kevin Durant goes to Stephen A. Smith. And I'm like, oh, what happened now? So I Googled the story, and I want to share with you guys in the comments section here. It's from the Arizona Central. I'm going to post it with you for you guys there so you guys can check it out. Okay, so that's the story there. So let me read it for y'all real quick. So it says, Kevin Durant rips clown Stephen A. Smith on leadership talk. Josh Okogie offers support. Let's get into this article here. Kevin Durant threw the latest overhand right in his continual back and forth for ESPN Stephen A. Smith. After helping the Phoenix Suns hold off a late Portland comeback in Saturday's 103-97 win, at Footprint Center, Durant fired back at Smith, who recently questioned his leadership again. This is what KD said now. He said, yes, Stephen A., I don't understand how people even listen to Stephen A. Durant said in an interview with The Athletic after the game. He said, I've been in the league for 18 years. I've never seen Stephen A. Smith at a practice or at a film session or at a shoot-around. I've never seen him anywhere but on TV talking shit about players. He's a clown to me. He will always be a clown to me. You can write that too. Smith once again questioned Kevin Durant's leadership on ESPN's ESPN First Take, saying last month the two-time Finals MVP has been relatively leaderless as a player. This is what Smith said. He said he's been very lacking in inspiration in terms of peeling out from those around him and whatever he can give them. Smith said he'll show up. If you said to me, it's a game 7, it's a game 1, it's a game 5, I don't give a damn what it is. Kevin Durant is going to show up and he'll ball. Let's stop. Let's stop right there. Let's stop. This is one of the very reasons Stephen A. Smith, so many people cannot stand Stephen A. Smith. I even saw a clip of LeVar Ball pointing this out recently, and I've been saying it for like years. Stephen A. Smith is notorious for giving you a compliment right before he says some grimy you-know-what about you. He will say something nice about you, knowing very well he wants to say something grimy, but he'll cushion it with something nice and then turn around and then basically just dish you. In this, I'm going to read it again. He said, listen to this. This is what he always does. He goes, he's been very lacking in inspiration in terms of peeling out those around him and whatever you can give them. Smith said, he'll show up. If you said to me, it's a game 7, it's a game 1, it's a game 5, I don't give a damn what it is. Kevin Durant is going to show up and he's going to ball out. But does he get the others around him to do it? Not only does he not do it, he doesn't feel the level of responsibility I think he should feel in getting it out of them. We got to pause. We got to pause that real quick. How would Stephen A. Smith know, to quote him, he doesn't feel like what is it? He said Kevin Durant showing up. Not only does he not do it, he doesn't feel the level of responsibility. So how do you know the level of responsibility Kevin Durant feels or the lack? How do you know that? How do you know that? Because Kevin Durant just said you don't come to the practice facilities. You're never at the shoot-arounds. You're never at the other team activities and events. So how do you know this? There are only two ways Stephen A. Smith can know this. He can know this by watching Kevin Durant on TV like the rest of us, or he can know this by or through his unnamed sources. Basically, somebody else that's there giving him secondhand information that, oh, Kevin Durant doesn't do this. Kevin Durant lacks this. Kevin Durant lacks that. Somebody said Dreamers Pro acts like he's from New York. All right, whatever. He lacks this. If you're not around, you know this. How do you know this? I want to go back to what KD said. He said, yeah, I don't understand how people even listen to Stephen A. Smith. He said, I've been in the league for 18 years. I've never seen him at a practice or a film session or a shoot-around. I've never seen him anywhere but on TV talking about players. He's a clown to me. He will always be a clown to me. You can write that too. Do you know who else Stephen A. Smith is notorious for doing this to? Stephen A. Smith is also notorious for doing this to Kawhi Leonard. And I don't want to get into the thing about Kawhi missing game, none of that. Stephen A. Smith, for like the first 3 years of Kawhi Leonard's time with the Clippers, he would always say, oh, Kawhi Leonard, he doesn't do anything. He's not a leader. He doesn't give anything to the team. He said even if Kawhi Leonard is out of the lineup, he doesn't add anything to the locker room. He's not really galvanizing the troops, to use his word. But during those playoff runs and those games when Kawhi Leonard was out, when I used to follow the Clippers religiously, I would listen to every post-game interview of the coaches and the players. When Kawhi Leonard was injured, do you know, from the head coach Ty Lue all the way down to the players, they were like, man, Kawhi Leonard is really connected to the team. He's always communicating with us when he's on the road. He's always following the plays. He's always connected to us. He's always we got us in the group chat, giving us feedback on what and what we can do. But if you listen to Stephen A. Smith on TV, Kawhi Leonard is totally aloof. He plays no role in his team's success. All he does is show up there and collect the check. This is what Kevin Durant is talking about. KD is questioning. He is questioning why we even listen to a person that talks about players that doesn't spend time around said players. And all he does is get second-hand information from other people he refuses to disclose. So basically, we just have to take him at his word that whatever he's saying via his sources is true. This is the whole issue he had with Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is like, you got people out here saying that I'm arrogant. He thinks he's better than other people, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, well, wait a minute. If these people are saying this, I want to be able to defend myself. So I'm coming to you because you're the person that said it. You're the person that said it through the other person. So I'm asking you, and Stephen A. Smith is like, well, nah, I can't really say that. So basically what you're telling me is you are allowed to put out information on a player, and there's no way of verifying whether or not it's true, and we just need to accept it, and so does that player. So Jaylen Brown is supposed to take that seriously, even though he can't even prove if any of what you're saying is true at all. At all. That's why KD is saying, why do people even listen to Stephen A. Smith? That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. Is that a fair point? I think it is. I think it is, because I think KD understands that a lot of what we feel about players is all narrative based. If Kevin Durant was a kiss ass and he was always smiling, maybe a lot more people in the media will be praising him. That's what Jeff Van Gundy said about Kobe when Kobe was playing. He was like, all the people that criticized Kobe, but he said this on TV while Kobe was, I think it was a playoff game, where people like, oh, Kobe's not a leader. He's a bad leader, blah, 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 blah. He said if Kobe Bryant had a bubbly personality and he was a kiss ass, people will be writing a lot more nice things about him. But because he's not, that's the reason that they say the ridiculous things that they say about Kobe. Had nothing to do with his game. Had nothing. I've already told you guys, Stephen A. Smith is a politician. Stephen A. Smith is a politician. He's a politician. That's why he loves politics. He's a politician. Stephen A. Smith killed KD and called what he did the weakest move in NBA history. When, 6-7 years before that, LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh did the exact same thing. The exact same thing. How they did it was different, but ultimately the result was the same. They created an unfair advantage in the NBA. Do you know who recently said that? Jeff Teague was on the Jeff Teague podcast and said himself, Jeff Teague said himself, that I'm not even going to front, man. When y'all did that, everybody was pissed at y'all in the NBA. Everybody thought you guys destroyed the NBA when you did that. Hey, guys, let's try to get these likes up to 150 likes. That's what Jeff Teague said. They did the same thing. You had a LeBron James, who some people thought was, let's say, a top 2 player in the NBA. You got him with a Dwayne Wade, who had led the league in scoring the year before and it was already a finals MVP. Then you had Chris Bosh, who was a 20-10 guy who always had the Toronto Raptors in the playoffs, and you brought that team in with all those other players, and that team at one point, that Miami Heat team, I think they went on a 22-game win streak. A 22-game win streak in that season. It was not even fair. It was so bad that you were getting sound bites from Michael Jordan in the offseason after that move went down. They asked Jordan. They were like, what do you think about that, what the Miami Heat just did? Michael Jordan said during the offseason, during some type of golf tournament, he said that when I played, I was trying to beat those guys. I was trying to make sure that I beat them. I wasn't thinking about joining them. He said if all of us came together, that wouldn't be a competitive thing. Oh, shout out to Too Raw for TV. It was a 20-game win streak, but yeah, that ended but shout out to Too Raw for TV. I actually saw this video, this KD News on his channel. So shout out to him, man. Make sure y'all subscribe to his channel. Shout out to Too Raw for TV in the building. So LeBron and them did the same thing, but his was even worse. Do you know why? Because LeBron was hated throughout the entire NBA. Kevin Durant wasn't hated throughout the entire NBA. What he did, was it a soft move? Yes, but what LeBron did was soft too. But the reason Stephen A. Smith don't be going as hard at LeBron the way he does KD is because LeBron is the face of the NBA. So LeBron has a different social standing in the NBA that KD doesn't. So therefore, he's easy food. He's easy food. Why do you think some of these NBA players be having issues with? And I gotta say this about Stephen A. Smith while we're talking about it. Stephen A. Smith is a very interesting dude. Stephen A. Smith will say, me saying what I say about a particular player is me giving you my critique on the game or on the performance of the player. That's his position. And he wants players to accept that. This is my position on what you're doing on the court. Blah, 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 blah. So deal with it. But then it becomes an issue if a player takes offense to the way that he's covering the sport. The minute he does that, Stephen A. Smith takes offense. It's almost as if he can't handle the medicine he's dishing out to other people. He wants them to just take it like it is, take it like a man, take my critiques. But if people call him out and say, bro, I don't like the way you go about slandering players, and I think something is wrong, all of a sudden he gets into he starts screaming, he's going to do an hour live. That's what happened with Russell Westbrook. Stephen A. Smith on TV talking about some I don't know why the league didn't suspend Russell Westbrook. So I called them to find out why they didn't suspend him, and everybody came for his ass. Everybody. Athletes, entertainers, Gilly, all of them. Yo, why would you do that? Why would you? And he got tight. Y'all don't understand how this works, how journalism works, and blah, 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 blah. He got pissed off. He can't take a lick of criticism, a lick of it. Not a lick of it. And if you notice, Stephen A. Smith always got issues with somebody. And do you know something interesting that happened? I just thought about as we're doing this live. Do you notice that Stephen A. Smith been having beefs with athletes all throughout the years? The minute Shannon Sharpe got with Stephen A. Smith, next thing you know, Shannon Sharpe got beef with people all over the entertainment world. Y'all notice that? Prior to Shannon Sharpe getting with Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharpe had beef with nobody. Nobody that I can think of. Skip Bayless, maybe, but that's his co-worker. That's a workplace disagreement. Ever since Shannon Sharpe linked up with Stephen A. Smith, it has been a bunch of drama that has followed him. It has been one beef after the next. Y'all notice that? Ever since Shannon Sharpe got with Stephen A. Smith, he has been beefing with everybody. Do you know why? Because some of Stephen A. Smith rubbed off on Shannon Sharpe. That's what I believe. prior to Shannon Sharpe getting with Stephen A. Smith, for as accomplished as Shannon Sharpe was as a professional football player, and I got to say, as a man, when you looked at Shannon Sharpe, you thought to yourself, man, this is the man. This guy, the way he carries himself, he had masculine energy about him at the time. This is Shannon Sharpe. The minute he got with Stephen A. Smith, the moment he got with him, he became extremely arrogant. When Shannon Sharpe was with Skip Bayless and he was still on Undisputed, he would go around doing interviews still. He was on All the Smoke. He was like, man, I got to give it up to Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless, he definitely helped. He gave me the idea for doing the show, and I'm so humble. Even that first episode, y'all go back and Google it. Just search Shannon Sharpe, Stephen A. Smith, Michael Jordan, LeBron debate. The very first show with Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith before he went on ESPN that Sunday, Shannon Sharpe was on the show. Man, I'm so appreciative of this, man. Stephen A. Smith, I got to say, man, I'm really appreciative of what you did, man. I really appreciate. And I'm looking at Shannon Sharpe. I'm like, yo, why are you acting like as if you don't know who you are in this entire? You acting like as if you some bum that they picked off the street that they gonna turn into a star. You gonna act like as if like you don't know who you are. And I got tight of Shannon Sharpe. I'm like, yo, what's wrong with you? Ever since Shannon Sharpe got with Stephen A. Smith, it's been one beef after the next. Now, all of a sudden, Shannon Sharpe is flexing how much money he's making. I'm making this much money and blah, 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 blah. Just a second here. Let me, I don't know who this is. Ever since he did that, now Shannon Sharpe is always in some beef. Always. We can go through the names. Steve Harvey, Mace at one point, Cam at one point, Mike Epps at one point, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on of people. And ever since then, Shannon Sharpe, in my personal opinion, ever since he got with Stephen A. Smith, his image took a nosedive, a complete nosedive. Yeah, you could say some people had some rumors about whatever. I don't know what it was. But the moment he got with Stephen A. Smith, it just all exploded. It all exploded. And I think what happened to Shannon was he didn't realize that that type of behavior works for Stephen A. Smith. Beefing with people, going back and forth, that works for Stephen A. Smith. When Stephen A. Smith be staring at the mic, y'all think I'm playing with you? I'm not playing. You better be like that works for him. Because Stephen A. Smith is very polarizing. Very polarizing. There are a lot of people that like him, and there are a lot of people that can't stand him. But Shannon, we all liked him. And now all of a sudden, he done turned somebody else. Stephen A. Smith think he runs ESPN, but he is just a worker. Yeah, he's just a worker, but he's a high-paid worker. I'm gonna tell y'all that. He's a highly paid worker. I'll tell y'all that. I think he's about to sign what? $100 million deal. But I think Kevin Durant and people like this see through Stephen A. Smith. They see through him. They see through him. And I think that the reason Stephen A. Smith is always in one fight after the other goes all the way back to what happened with Max Kellerman and Terrell Owens on ESPN that day. I think a lot of it goes back to that. I think a lot of it has to do with Stephen A. Smith feeling like some people look at him a certain way ever since that blow up they had on TV, because essentially what Terrell Owens said was what a lot of people were thinking. That's why it stung Stephen A. Smith. That's why it stung him. If it was something that nobody would be like, man, what is he even talking about? Stephen A. Smith would have probably just laughed it off. But when it came to Terrell Owens and when he said that, it was a different thing. I'm going to call out something else about Stephen A. Smith that a lot of people are not feeling. I think a lot of people are seeing through. Stephen A. Smith don't be keeping it a buck across the board. Let's just keep it 100. I don't want to make it a race thing, but I got to do it because of who we're talking about. I got to do it. And I think players also see that. He be picking and choosing who he goes at. He be picking and choosing. When it comes to he be ready to go off. But when it comes to some other players, he be quiet as a mouse. Stephen A. Smith done produced probably 100 P. Diddy segments. 100 P. Diddy segments. We could not even see him get 5 videos off of Dana White. Not even 5. What about Vince McMahon? You seen Stephen A. Smith talk about him? The only reason he talked about him is because he knew people were going to say something. He's like, let me just do one video. People see through this. Stephen A. Smith only apologized to white women. He got his behind got suspended for offending them, but he gets to say whatever he wants to everyone else. And Jason Whitlock exposed his behind already. Hey, appreciate the comment and appreciate the super chat. So he don't be keeping that same energy with everybody else. That's another reason these dudes don't respect him. That is another reason they don't respect him. And on top of the fact of how he treated his former partner. For the new people coming in, let me post in the comments what Kevin Durant said about Stephen A. Smith. He just said that recently. Let me read it for y'all real quick for the new people that probably didn't hear it. He said, this is Kevin Durant after the Portland game. He said, yeah, Stephen A. Smith, I don't understand how people even listen to Stephen A. Smith. Durant said in an interview with The Athletic after the game, I've been in the league for 18 years. I've never seen Stephen A. Smith at a practice or a film session or a shoot around. I have never seen him anywhere but on TV talking SHI, you know what, about players. He's a clown to me. He's always been a clown. You can write that too. That is what Kevin Durant said about Stephen A. Smith. And this article came out, I'm seeing it here, about an hour or so ago. And I saw it on Too Raw for TV's or Too Raw for Sports show where he was talking about it. That's what KD had to say about Stephen A. Smith. But this is the perception of him. And I think Stephen A. Smith don't care. I think he don't care. And I think he is as thin-skinned as the people he talks about. Stephen A. Smith is as thin-skinned as the people he talks. I guarantee you, one of two things are going to happen tomorrow. He's either going to go on ESPN and promote the show where he goes back at Kevin Durant and disses him, or he's going to go out there and do a full hour show. And then in the midst of that, he's going to start threatening KD like he did before. Talking about, you don't want to make an enemy out of me. Y'all remember that when he said that on TV. They never had smoke for Josh Giddey, but jumped again for KPJ. And even when Kyrie G said the authorities lied, which is an abuse of police resources. Appreciate the super. Yeah, that's his own reputation, and I think that's something Stephen A. Smith got to deal with. I think Stephen A. Smith's way of dealing with all of this is just shielding himself with money, making as much money as he possibly can. And to him, if he's doing that, then what everybody else is saying about him doesn't really matter. That's Stephen A. Smith's opinion. As long as I'm making my money, I don't really care what y'all think or have to say about me. The part I don't understand is how you get to go out there and say things about people and they don't get to respond to it. How you expect these players to just take and listen to anything you say about them, and they supposed to take it on the chin. They supposed to take it on the chin and view it as constructive criticism, and it's not personal. But the minute they refute or they come back at you for saying what you said or some of your practices, all of a sudden we're going to get an hour this mixtape tomorrow of why they shouldn't mess with you. This is he said Malika Andrews. Let me read this one. Malika Andrews is still on ESPN after she confronted Steve. You just reminded me. Y'all just reminded me. Thank you for bringing up that point. Malika Andrews still on ESPN after she confronted Stephen A. Smith over the Udoka thing, but he wants to ban Monica McNutt. We all know the reason why. Appreciate the super chat. Another person said, Christopher Kendrick said, look how he reacted when Monica McNutt called him out live on First Take. No, what y'all need to look at, what y'all need to go back and look at is look at how he reacted when JJ Redick used to whip his ass on TV. When JJ Redick used to get in his ass on TV, he used to be awfully, he would just laugh at it. Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Had that been Ryan Clark, had that been Kendrick Perkins, had that been somebody else, he would have been ready to brawl it up. But for JJ Redick, it is okay. He let him talk to him any kind of way he wanted. After a while, I'm like, yo, son, I thought this was your show. How you going to let somebody come up on your show and talk to you like this? And he's like, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine, guys. It's fine, guys. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Somebody said Max used to get to, I think the difference between Max and JJ was Max wasn't in a position of power the way JJ Redick was. And here's what I mean. Max was under Stephen A. Smith on the show. JJ Redick was a multimillionaire basketball player who was successful before he even came on ESPN. So he could go up there and say whatever the hell he wanted to Stephen A. Smith, especially when they were talking basketball. He had more credentials than him. And he knows that if Stephen A. Smith didn't invite him on the show, he wouldn't lose anything. Stephen A. Smith is even afraid to make fun of JJ Redick's coaching job. I would never say that about JJ. Oh, JJ's a good friend of mine. Oh, JJ, really? The way he be undressing you on TV, that's a good friend of yours? Do you think JJ Redick, if they ask him, is Stephen A. Smith a friend of mine? JJ Redick will not say no damn Stephen A. Smith is a friend of his. Somebody said, remember when this guy, nah, son. Get your bum ass out of here. We see what you doing. Get your bum ass out of here. Hold up. Uh-oh. I seen what he doing. These dudes is slick out here, B. I saw what you was doing. What we just had in the comment. No, that ain't no bot. That is not a bot. That is somebody from the super dirty section. Not the dirty section. The super dirty section. Super dirty section. And what he does is he figured out a way that he will poach your subscribers by posting comments that relate to his content in the comments section. So people be like, yo, who is that? And then you click on it to go find out who he is. That's what that dude does. We all know who you are. Get your dusty ass up out of the comment section. We know who you are. He used to do it before. He think he talking about something that happened over a year ago, but he's still on it. He sent one of his dirty out of Teletubbies in the comments to come do his bidding. These dust bunnies that he sent to the. I know who he is. Y'all know who he is too. But anyway, so that's what Stephen A. Smith said about KD. I'm gonna be ready for the diss record that he's gonna drop tomorrow on his channel. ESPN in the 2000s would have had interesting dialogue about Jerry Jones. They no longer provide honest commentary on journalism or take care. Okay, take care, guy. Appreciate the super chat. Well, to that point, I think that's something that Dan Le Batard spoke about. Sports media is changing every day, man. It's changing every day. It's evolving. We all gotta evolve with it, to be honest with you. I think that ESPN is doing what they think is in their best interest. That's what I believe. I think ESPN is doing what they think is in their best interest, period, point blank. And if it means that they got to twerk it up and ratchet it up, that's what they're going to do. By the way, we got another channel. Some of y'all not aware of it, where we talk about business, current events, politics. I'm going to post that in the comment section right here. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pin that. If you guys want to, If y'all are interested in politics, if you are, or business or economics and all that other stuff, y'all can check out my channel that I got it linked over there. Y'all make sure y'all check that out when y'all got some free time. Stephen A. Smith going to apologize 99 more times. He's not going to apologize to KD, though. No. He's not going to apologize to KD. He's going to go off on him. Appreciate that, Shan. He's going to go off on him. He's going to go off on him tomorrow. He's going to cuss him out and say who you are, who might have been. Just look at everybody got beef with Stephen. Everybody got beef with him. This dude is like the 50 Cent of sports media. He like the 50 Cent of sports media. Everybody is beefing with this dude. Everybody. He talking about Max Kellerman is not qualified to talk about basketball because he didn't even play sports. Son averaged 1.5 points a game. How much more qualified are you? Good point. I mean, it wasn't like as if you was an All-American. You average 1.5 points. So your 1.5 makes you that much more qualified than Max Kellerman? Really? Really? Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking? He said he doesn't even know why he said the audience is thinking to themselves, why is Max even qualified to be talking sports? Meanwhile, he hired Max on the show. He said nobody comes on ESPN First Take, but then he recruited Max, and Max was on the show for 5 years. So during that recruitment process, you never knew that Max Kellerman never played sports. You never knew that. You found that out when? When did you find that out? Was it year 3 when he was like, yo, give me his resume. Let me figure out what this dude has been doing since he's been on the show. Like, what are we talking about? But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on that. Appreciate the super chats. Appreciate you guys for being on here during this live. Also, channel, if you haven't already, appreciate all your support. And we're going to catch y'all tomorrow. I said I hate Whitlock, but Whitlock really destroyed Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, I think what Jason Whitlock said was Jason Whitlock, I think he exposed a lot of things because he's somebody that used to be in the industry. So I think the reason Stephen A. Smith chose to respond to him is because he's deemed a more credible source. For example, Jaguar Wright, just to close out real quick. Jaguar Wright been talking what she's been saying about people for at least the last 5-10 years. At least the stuff she's been saying it for the last 5 to 10 years, literally. But the moment she got on Piers Morgan, that's when Jay-Z and Beyonce sent that cease and desist. You think Jay-Z wasn't aware of the stuff that Jaguar Wright was saying? Of course he was. But Jay-Z in his mind was thinking, well, she's on these platforms. Yeah, even if they're big, they're not household names. But the minute she went on Piers Morgan, he's like, uh-oh, wait a minute now. We need to shut that down. It's the same thing. We can all say we don't like Stephen A. Smith. But if you're a celebrity or you're somebody in the industry, then he'll respond. Like when he responded to Willie D, who's a former musician, or when he responded to Jason Whitlock, or when he responds to all of these other athletes. And let me say this. If Stephen A. Smith goes on Gil's Arena, and you got Rashard McCann, Gilbert Arenas, Kenyon Martin, and I think Brandon Jennings, I think Rashard McCann is going to give that dude the business on that show. I think it will be a mistake. I can already predict how that show's going to go. Gilbert Arenas is not going to say anything in the sense that he's not going to ruffle any feathers because they cool. So I don't expect Gil to do that because I think Gil is the connect, they're friends or whatever. Brandon Jennings don't really be going off like that, only once in a while. Kenyon Martin may pop off, but I think Rashard McCann, if Stephen A. Smith goes on that show and confronts those dudes, Rashawn McCann gonna have that body bag on the ground. He just gonna be screaming, put your leg. You know how you be doing scream, put your legs in. Like he gonna be doing that. It's gonna be crazy. But anyway, y'all, appreciate you guys for being a part of the live. We did 40 minutes. Shout out to y'all, man. We're gonna have a good one. Y'all have a good weekend, man. Appreciate y'all for being on the channel. Don't forget to sub to that channel. Catch y'all later. Peace.